It was an ordinary night, until Derek noticed something strange on the road. In the middle of the darkness, something was moving. He stopped the truck. On the ground, there was a puppy, but something felt off. It was trembling, but it didn't bark, didn't move like a normal dog. Something about the scene made Derek's heart race, but he couldn't help but feel pity. He decided to pick up the puppy. But as he lifted it, he felt something was wrong. A cold shiver ran down his spine immediately. Derek didn't know what was happening, but it seemed like the puppy was trying to communicate something. He placed it in the passenger seat and kept driving. Mile after mile, the puppy stared at him with unsettling fixation, its eyes glowing eerily in the dark. What was wrong with it? Why wasn't it acting like a normal animal? When they got home, Derek made a little space for the puppy. He tried to feed it, but the puppy didn't touch the food. It just kept watching him, its piercing gaze unwavering. Something was out of place, something Derek couldn't understand. He tried petting it, but the puppy dodged, almost as if it feared the touch. But Derek's fear grew stronger with every passing second. The next morning, the puppy was no longer in the spot where he left it. Derek searched the house and found it in the kitchen, standing perfectly still in front of a mirror. It was staring at its reflection as though waiting for something. Derek approached slowly, but the puppy didn't react, its eyes still fixed on the mirror. "Is everything okay?" Derek muttered, but there was no answer. Something was very wrong, and he didn't know what to do. That night, Derek couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he felt like the puppy was watching him, even though it wasn't in the same room. When he finally drifted off, the sound woke him. A scraping sound, like something moving across the wood. Derek got up, and there it was, the puppy, standing in the middle of the room, staring at him as if it was waiting for something. Its eyes were different now. They weren't the eyes of a dog anymore. Derek approached, trying to calm it down. But when he touched the puppy, it reacted violently, wriggling as though something inside it had been awakened. He stepped back, confused and scared. The puppy ran through the house, avoiding something invisible, but Derek had no idea what was happening. He tried to take it to the vet, but when the doctor looked at the puppy, she hesitated. This isn't normal. "I've never seen anything like this," she said, her eyes scanning the creature. Its teeth were far too sharp, and its legs longer than any normal dog should have. The puppy just stared at her, as though analyzing every word she said. That night, Derek had nightmares. He woke up several times, drenched in sweat, with the sensation that something was moving around the house. The puppy was always there, watching him. But what was it waiting for? The next morning, Derek went to work, trying to shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. But when he got there, his colleagues noticed the puppy. "Did you bring a dog to work?" one of them asked. Derek forced a smile, trying to avoid looking at them. Something was too strange to be normal. When he came back home that night, the puppy was different. More restless. More agitated. Derek didn't know what to do. The puppy began hiding in places that were impossible to reach. It would disappear into the shadows. Its movements were quick, stealthy, like it was hunting something, or someone. Derek had never seen it move with such urgency. It was as if the puppy knew something he would never understand. Then one moment, the puppy simply vanished. It wasn't on the couch, or on the bed, or in the place it usually hid. Derek searched every corner, but it was gone. He went outside to search for it, feeling fear grip him. When he came back inside, the puppy was there, in a corner of the room, staring at him. As if nothing had happened. But something was different. It looked older. Its gaze was deeper, more intense. And once again, Derek's eyes locked onto its. Something inside him froze. The puppy knew more than he did, and that was what terrified him. It was as if he had realized the puppy wasn't there by accident. Something bigger, something much more dangerous, was lurking. Derek began to feel like he was being watched all the time, like he was being led to a fate he couldn't escape. But what was it? And who was really in control? When he looked at the puppy again, Rex's eyes glowed in a way Derek could never forget. It wasn't just looking at him anymore. It was waiting. The tension was building. What would happen next? What did Rex know? And most importantly, why was he here? When Derek walked into his house, he could hardly believe what he was seeing. The little puppy with its big glowing eyes was still there, But now something felt different. The creature, which had trembled in weakness just the day before, was now full of energy with an agility that didn't belong to a dog. Its movements were too quick, too fast, like it was hunting, like it was searching for something. Derek approached cautiously, his gaze fixed on the small creature, sitting in the center of the room, staring at him. Something in Rex's eyes wasn't right. As if it was observing him, but not in an innocent way, like a pet. It was more calculated, as if it was waiting for something, planning something. Derek swallowed hard. Am I seeing things? He thought. Then, with terrifying speed, Rex darted to the side and disappeared under the couch. Derek froze. He couldn't comprehend what was happening. The puppy had become something else. Before he could react, a strange noise came from inside the house, making his heart race. Something was scraping on the walls, like claws testing their limits. Derek turned, trying to figure out where the sound was coming from, but when he looked back at the couch, Rex was gone. Where had it gone? His body tensed. There was no sound. No breath. The silence was deafening. The air was thick, and with every step Derek took through the house, the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Then it hit him. This strange behavior wasn't just a coincidence. Rex was adapting, but not to be a pet. It was changing into something more. Desperate for answers, Derek grabbed his phone and searched for anything, any clue that could explain what was going on. But what he found was even more disturbing. In a random search about unusual puppy behavior, a forum page popped up. The discussion was about a rare breed, almost mythical, known for bizarre behavior and physical traits that didn't fit with normal dogs. But the strangest part? The title of the post, The Creature of the Forest, an Unsolved Mystery. Derek felt a chill run down his spine. That description, it fit Rex. Suddenly, a terrifying thought crossed his mind. What if what he had rescued wasn't just a puppy? What if it was something else? Something left there, on purpose. But no, that couldn't be. He was thinking too much. Still, something made him hesitate. Something in Rex's behavior. Something that couldn't be explained. The animal seemed to communicate with him, not through barks, but through fixed stares, movements that seemed almost human. But who would abandon a creature like that, so enigmatic? The next morning, Derek woke to find Rex again, hiding under the dining table, watching him in silence. Its eyes glowed brighter than before. But what bothered Derek most was how the puppy seemed to know his every move. As Derek reached for a cup from the table, Rex followed closely behind, silently, as if it was about to do something. "You're going to follow me to the end, aren't you?" Derek muttered to himself. And then, without warning, Rex jumped onto Derek's lap. But instead of snuggling, the animal stared directly into his eyes with an intensity that made Derek freeze. Something in that stare told him maybe it wasn't safe to be near it anymore. But for some reason, he couldn't push the animal away. He was trapped. But what Derek didn't know, what he could never imagine, was that this creature was preparing to reveal what it truly was. Something older, something more mysterious, and not human. As night fell, and the darkness overtook the house, the sound of claws scraping on the floor echoed through the halls. This time, there was no escape. Rex was no longer the puppy Derek had rescued from the side of the road. It was becoming something completely different. And the question that formed in Derek's mind was, what had he really brought into his house? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can follow the chilling next chapter of Derek's nightmare. What will Rex reveal next? Stay tuned. As the night went on, Derek began to notice a change in the atmosphere of the house. The air felt dense, heavy, as if it were being pressed down by something he couldn't see. Rex's behavior was becoming more strange, more unsettling. The puppy no longer just followed him with its eyes. Now it walked behind him, with calculated steps, as if it were waiting for something. Derek could feel a presence, but he couldn't comprehend what was happening. Rex was everywhere. In the middle of the night, when Derek got up to get some water, the puppy was there, lurking in the corner of the kitchen, standing still, as if observing a crucial moment. It was then that Derek heard a sound coming from the basement. The basement door was slightly ajar, and Rex's voice, which until then had only made soft whimpers, transformed into a deep, almost human sound. It no longer sounded like a dog's bark, but like the sound of an entity. "No, it can't be," Derek whispered to himself. He no longer knew what to think. But driven by curiosity and fear, he descended into the basement. When he reached the bottom, a terrifying sight awaited him. Rex was lying in the center of the room, but he was no longer the small puppy Derek had rescued. He had grown, in a matter of hours. His eyes glowed with a supernatural intensity, his muscles were defined, and he looked like a beast, something more than human, yet still with the appearance of a dog, or rather what he was supposed to be. And then, the truth was revealed. Rex wasn't a dog. He wasn't even any kind of animal. He was a hybrid being, forged to manipulate, to deceive. An experiment. And the worst part? He wasn't alone. Around the room, Derek realized, with a deep shiver, that there were other similar beings, just more hidden in the shadows, their eyes glowing in the dark. He had been chosen. He had been swallowed by a web of a force he never imagined possible. Rex hadn't been placed there by accident. He had been left to watch, to monitor. And Derek was the final piece that needed to be connected. "You can't escape," whispered a guttural voice, not from Rex, but from all of them together. And in the final moment, when Derek tried to take a step back, the beings moved forward rapidly, faster than anything he had ever seen. Panic flooded his body, but there was no way out anymore. He was trapped. The basement light abruptly went out. And everything went silent.